Let me pull it up real quick. Hold on. Technical issues.
Oh, you're good. Take your time. I'm pulling up my screen.
One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. We have a
Awesome.
quorum.
Sweet. Okay. I know there were some emails back and forth about some CRs that were not ready to be discussed or that have not come back from the TSCs, so that's fine. We'll just make a note of that. So first up, we'll just go down the list. Terrence, is Terrence on the call? Terrence is not on the call. All right, we'll come back to that. James. Reducing the underwater lighting requirements from 8 to 4 lumens. Okay, there's a delete and substitute note on the CMAHC website. Sarah, so do we need to take this one off? Is this closed then?
It's still open on the CMAHC website, but there was a note saying there was a delete and substitute there. So I did not send it to the TSCs. And I apologize in advance to all of you that have been bombarded by 10 million emails the last little bit. But we're getting it organized and it will be good. So I apologize first before we get started. But it still said it's open on the CMAHC website.
The delete and substitute, that is an option in the drop-down menu. So that's probably an area for the next go around we need to further clarify for submitters. So this is an active CR.
Oh, delete and substitute is that meaning delete and substitute the language?
Correct. Correct.
Ah, so it's not deleting and substituting the CR.
Correct.
Okay. So this has not been sent to the TSC yet, but needs to be sent.
I can do that today.
And I think I
can go ahead and comment on this one if we want to. You know, I mean, we can send it to the TSC, but you know, from what I could tell, from the first time we discussed it, that there are already other codes that are requiring 8 and the MAHC's requiring 8, and everything that I saw on the internet seemed to indicate that 8 was the standard. So I think it would need something more substantial than it's going to cost more money to justify, you know, cutting that in half. So I didn't really see that it had much merit, and I think we could probably vote on it.
Actually, we can't vote today on it. That was submitted by Kent, who is on the TRC. He would have to recuse himself from the vote. So on this particular one, we would not have a quorum to be able to vote.
Ah, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem.
And is that going to be the same problem like if we did one by other members?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So we may be fairly limited then.
All right. Well, we'll have our discussions and then maybe we can do like a quick vote next one.
Yeah, are we following Robert's Rule of Order here? Do we have to have a quorum? Do we have to have a certain number present?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not following Roberts, but we do have to have at least 60% to vote.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's what we need to do.
Did Kent drop off the call there when you said that, Dewey?
I don't think so. Or did he?
We need him back on so we can vote.
He vanished. He vanished from my screen.
He did vanish. Yeah.
Come on, guys.
That's Kent. I'm gonna assume, it's safe to assume he's having some tech issues.
Yeah. We'll need to vote on the next meeting.
Kent's not the kind of guy that would, get a grudge like that and just pop off. That's not Kent.
Should we send this to the TSC? I mean, I'm fine with doing that. I mean, especially since we can't vote on it today. I mean,
Go for it. Let's get let's see if the TSC will can get a response by the next time.
Okay, I will send that today. Be
sounds-
prepared for a ton of emails, James, just so you know.
Okay, can't wait. It'll be like every other day.
True.
All right.
Hey, real quick, what Miklos, this is really more for Miklos and Sarah, but it applies to everybody else too. Just FYI, we've had a couple of changes from a submitter. I've already withdrawn one CR, and there's a couple of others that are being withdrawn and substitute CRs that are submitted based off TRC conversations. I'll get that squared away today and over to the two of y'all.
Okay. No problem. Did it not save my stuff? No. There we go. Okay. Let's look at this one is me. So I will be honest, I have not looked to see if we have TSC comments on this yet. So this is 6631003. We do not.
Miklos, Kent is back, so we have a quorum.
Awesome. All right. This one adds the functional chemical controller interlock requirements to the imminent health hazard section.
Didn't we have one of these already? I mean, we had this discussion about another CR about this exact same idea?
Yeah, so
Last
it's
time?
must have a functioning controller interlock device or system to prevent inadvertent chemical feed when there's. Yeah, we did. Was it exactly the same?
I didn't think that was about an interlock.
We had one about the interlocks, but I don't think it was in the closure. Is this in the closure section?
Is
that-
it? Yeah, it's the imminent
Yeah,
health hazard.
663.
Yeah.
Tom Keckler just sent a chat that it's the same intent as his 6.6.3.1-1.
Yeah, that's what I.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That must have been the meeting I missed.
Yeah, third one down. That it?
That's the one I just pulled up.
I guess there's three of those. Six.
Yeah. Here we go. We closed this one.
Yeah, what did we recommend on that?
I think we recommended a no vote. Corey, are you on the line? Did you do the? Is Corey not on the line? I don't know if he's done the thing for it yet. I think we recommended a no vote. If I'm not mistaken, does anybody remember?
Well, can we look and see what we recommended? If we already did it.
If they've done the report, we can. Sorry, I'm having to move like everyone's pictures and stuff around. has not been completed yet.
I'm just looking at the one that Tom submitted and, you know, it was more complicated than an interlock, you know, because the interlock section actually has like 3 different requirements. It has to have like 2 out of 3 things in the code. So this one may be a little more complicated than.
That was this one. Yeah, his language is a bit more complicated, but it's essentially doing the same thing. So failure to provide the interlock controls accordance with section 473.213.
That's a little different than was just submitted, because this one says that they have to be operating properly.
Well, this one also says failure to provide or not operating properly.
Okay.
Can anyone remember for sure how we voted on this?
So I was looking at my notes that I took, Miklos, and I have it says look at the other CR that's similar. Take that into account. And the TRC, I have that the TRC said no nays, recommend for a vote. That's what I have written in my notes.
No nays, recommend for a vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Dewey, how do we handle this where we've got multiple CRs kind of doing the same thing?
Then you would, the TSC would have to basically support, if they're covering the exact same thing with different wording, the TSC would have to basically choose which one they support and give a yes vote, and the remainders would get no votes to avoid an inherent conflict.
The
Okay.
TRC?
Yeah, TRC, I'm sorry.
Right. You'd have to look at them all at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because the language may be a little different in each one. And what Dewey said, you really want to make sure they don't conflict with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. We're gonna move this to the next one. So Dewey, I don't know if you're making any notes for the next round, but this could be an issue that we didn't think about when kind of scheduling how we're doing the CRs and like by meeting as CRs are coming through, because
Yeah.
ones like these, like we may have one that comes up next month before, you know, the close date, and you know we've got to go back and relook at all of them again. So I think there's just a downside of doing it the way that we're doing it. So just something to think about for next round.
Yeah, I agree. We knew this one would have some challenges, specifically as that came in.
Okay. So let's
I mean, if we voted yes on Tom's, I think we should vote no on this one, just because the language is not very good. You know, it's not very specific to the requirements earlier in the code, and it also gives the option for a separate system. And both of those are probably not things we want to do here on the one you're supposed to review today.
let's see. Says failure to prevent unauthorized access in a chemical storage space.
Yeah, that might be 2 or something. I think you need to be on number 1 for Tom's. Or you got 0002.
Oh.
It's 001.
The 0002 0002, just for clarity, that is likely because the original was withdrawn, and that is an improved CR based off TRC comments.
I think the O2s and 3s are just the number of comments on the same section. So this is the pool closure section. So one was on chemical storage, 2 are on interlocks. 1 and 3 seem to be on interlocks. See, this
Facility
one
must,
doesn't reference the original section of the MAC like Tom's does, where it gives you all the options, and then it actually says, you know, or some other system, which is unspecified to prevent inadvertent. So this one actually allows some exception outside of the MAC for whatever reason.
yeah, I would agree that Tom's is written more specifically, and I like the reference to the code section. Anyone else's thought about this
I think
one?
they both have the same spirit, about making sure the interlocks are in place and working properly. The Tom's is, you know, a little bit more concise and, like James said, you know, it makes specific reference back to what the violation is in the previous chapter of the MAC.
Anybody else?
I agree as well, and this one only addresses chemical controllers, not any chemical feed system. So I think this one is great in spirit, but it's missing the detail.
Okay. Does anyone feel like we should not vote today on this one?
Just a reminder for everyone. Just remember that as a TRC, if the spirit is good, but the language needs work, you can always go back to the submitter and work with the submitter on improving the language.
That is true. I think in this case, though, we have another CR that has the language that we're looking for.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I think I would vote against this one and then put the comment that we've approved a similar, you know, a similar CR for this one.
Yep.
You know,
Yep,
that way
I
they
agree
don't
with
feel
that.
like we ignored them. Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and call a vote. Let's say all those against, there any nays, if we can hear them.
Yeah, all nays, right? Nay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, any yays. I'm sorry. Around any yays. All right, the nays have it.
Okay.
So just to be clear, this is a no vote then. We voted that we're not putting this one through, correct?
Well,
Yes.
we voted
We're not
to,
supporting this one.
We're not
correct?
supporting this one.
yeah, we do not
Vote
recommend.
to
this one be-
not recommend this one.
Right,
Yeah.
with a note that we're recommending the other one.
Perfect. I'll put that in my notes too, so we'll
Okay.
remember next time.
And have we already voted affirmatively on the other one, or do we still need to do that?
No, we already did. It's closed. I'm going to double check and make sure that that was an affirmative vote, but I believe it was.
Tom, do you remember? You're on the call here. Was that approved or was that sent back to you?
Actually, I don't remember.
Okay, fair enough. Same problem for all of us.
Well, if we need to reopen this next time, I'll take a look and we can reopen it. No big deal.
But yeah, I think that first one is good, the 001.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is another one where James, you're the submitter, and Kent, you're the facilitator. We're gonna have to skip that.
Yeah.
James, next one is yours as well. We're gonna have to skip that one. So Terry, you got off.
Jane or Miklos, just a minute.
Oh, yep.
Going back to the 6631-0001, I do have notes voted yes, the August 16 meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Double check if you wish. Yeah.
Yep.
But that agrees with Sarah's notes.
Yeah, I had the same thing on my notes.
Appreciate it. We're gonna skip these two for now because we can't vote on them, but if we have some time and we want to discuss after, we can. Dewey, you are not a voting member, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we can discuss this one.
So Heather is driving right now. She texted me and said, I can't make comments or talk because I'm driving. And I don't know that I'm prepared to discuss it, but let's look at it and open it up and see if we can have a little bit of a discussion.
Okay. It says the CR works to harmonize differences between MAC and ISPSC and PHTA. Automatic external defibrillator when installed for public access, a location sign shall be provided.
I am required to get a lot of advanced life-saving training renewal every couple of years, and I can't overemphasize how valuable an AED is. And the fact that knowing where one is really important, because having one on site is not good enough. I've actually been in a situation where I had to go try to find one and no one knew where it was.
100% agree. Because I'm not familiar with the codes that it's referencing, should there be any more specifics as to what that location sign should include?
Usually it's a little symbol with the words AED and an arrow pointing.
Is that the location sign that we mean? Like, I didn't know if
Yes.
it was, if it meant like a map with where
I've seen
it
those
is in the
too,
facility.
but usually the AED is about the size of a really small briefcase. And it's
Right.
mounted on the wall.
And I kind of like the idea of leaving it open, as far as not requiring a specific sign. I'm saying a sign that you have a way to, whether that's a map or whether that's the symbol saying we have an AED located here. Leave that up to the facility to post whatever kind of sign, but it needs to have a sign.
But if the AED is visible from the whole pool deck, do you need the redundancy of a sign?
I
Yeah,
would
isn't
think
there,
so.
isn't there normally a sign on the LED, on the AED case that actually says AED in big letters and kind
Right.
of clearly identifies what it is? I would think of this as more of a map sign that, you know, from a place in the facility where the AED isn't located,
Exactly.
it's a sign that shows where it could be found.
I think
Exactly.
this conversation is probably why we might want some more specificity on what that location sign should include.
And we got a bigger problem here. This section of the code is about a poster that's for pools that don't require lifeguards having CPR posters up. So, I mean, this is a total change from the original version of the code. This is in the signage section, and it's under a heading called posters. And it's just talking about a CPR poster should reflect how to do CPR if there's no lifeguard around. So this would be, I don't know, misnumbered potentially. I mean, I'm fine with adding a discussion about a sign, but I don't think we should I don't think we should remove a CPR poster and put a defibrillator sign.
You
Unless that's the standard now.
Dewey's pretty tough. Do you think he'd be open to making some language changes?
Yeah, he's a pretty hard butt, so yeah.
He's up for it.
Dewey,
Yeah, I'm fine with modifications.
Would you be okay with making a few modifications? I think
Yeah,
maybe some
absolutely.
clarification on the numbering, just to make sure that that's in accordance with what it should be. And then,
Yeah, 6422. That's the general chapter for signage.
And I
okay,
think if it was 342 instead of 341, it could just be a new section. It wouldn't replace the old. So I mean, I think it's an easy fix.
Yeah, I'll go back and take a look at that. I do want to weigh in on the AED cabinets. You know, not all the AED cabinets come with signs on them already referring to AEDs. So that's not necessarily standardized. Um, the last time I messed with it, part of my role when I was with my wife was facility safety, and ended up just for budgetary purposes because it was a little bit cheaper, getting some cabinets that did not have any signage on them. But I ended up putting signs mounted on the wall right above. The other problem with the cabinets is the signage, you can only see it when you're looking head on. Otherwise, they look like a fire cabinet or some other, ubiquitous cabinet there. So having a directional sign that can be seen from a distance from any angle is preferable.
Okay, then we should probably include a text height in the requirement for that sign.
yeah, Dewey, could you see if you can find some like spec language for
Sure
those
thing.
signs and just include that?
Sure
Uh,
thing.
I'm
Yes,
looking
can-
at these things on Google right now, and there's a huge variety
There is.
in whether or not they're called a defibrillator or an AED. There's like a heart sign with a lightning bolt through it for people that maybe not know the acronym, and so, but yeah, they're all over
Yeah.
the place.
I'm sure that'll be something we'll take up at some point too, is an international sign for defibrillator.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm surprised that hasn't already happened.
Yeah. Maybe you can add that as part of the spec, Dewey. Yeah, and I think my thing is I would be confused reading it as to whether it's one of those like, hey, AED is here underneath the sign kind of sign, or if it's like a map that you're asking for. So I mean, I'm fine with
Okay.
both, like both, but
Yeah, and maybe both would be a good idea. I mean, some of these come with signs, and some of them say like AED and have a symbol, and others say AED on site. Like,
yeah,
this
I think we
facility
were to
has
do
one.
I think we were to do a map thing. I think well, signage would be in the signage section, but would it maybe be more applicable to like the safety plan section?
Well,
This is the signage section that we're
the
in.
purpose of this is to harmonize with the PHTA and ISPSC. Can we look to see what they say, what their language is, and match to theirs?
That was the exact language.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we use this, then we'll be harmonized, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
Okay.
we can
Still have
improve the language and still meet the intent of harmonization.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think we do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Dewey. And then the last two are Kevin and James. So, excuse me, let's go back up to this since we've got a little bit of time left. We can get some discussion in. This is not requiring 3 NSF certifications on every pipe fitting used in pools. James, you're gonna have to recuse yourself on this. Kent, do you want to give us a rundown?
As I read the language, I didn't read it as you had to meet all three. I read it as you had to meet one of the three. and
But changing an and to an or, I think
right,
that makes that
Right.
even more clear.
yeah, I think if we simply changed an and to an or, we could meet the intent of the change request.
Well, but that's what they're at. That's the change request is changing
Yeah.
the to the or.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, okay, yeah. I think that's fine.
I like it too. It makes it
Yeah.
more clear that it's one or any of these.
Right, because I don't think the original intent was to make sure that all three are met.
No,
Agreed.
no, and I've never even tried to make sure all three are met. No one's gonna get anything certified to all three, you know?
Awesome.
Yeah. Maybe we should.
I
move
agree.
Oh, we probably don't have enough people to vote on it, do we?
Yeah, we don't have enough to vote, but I'll make a
Uh-uh.
note and we can take it up on the next call, see if there's any other comments.
And
But
maybe you can make a note that we all liked it.
yeah.
TRC.
Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
We gotta change these acronyms. They're too close.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
All right. This one is also Terry. You
Yep.
available to discuss this one?
Well, it is simply a deletion of some text. I haven't heard back from the disinfection and water quality TSC yet, but proposal is just to take out the end of that sentence, because the reuse ratio doesn't really tie to the filtration system. Those things don't have to be together is basically what he's requesting. But like I said, I have not heard back from the TSC yet.
Any comments?
I agree that the language should be cut in the fact that you don't need to tell us why you're cutting it, just
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
the language.
Yeah, I agree with Terry.
Yeah, I
So,
do too.
I agree.
Yeah,
Efficiency is different. Yeah.
I haven't heard back from that TSC, but I didn't feel like it was really going to be earth-shattering hearing back from them.
Sure. I mean, I don't think it has any negative, in my opinion, there's no negative effect to it by removing that, so I'm fine.
Too bad we don't have a quorum.
That's right. The discussions will make it easy for next time.
If we remember the discussion.
Right. Yeah, 2 weeks is a long time.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm making
Yeah, okay.
more
Yeah, good
specific
point.
notes. And I'm doing it right now while y'all are on the call, so I don't forget later.
Who submitted this one?
James.
That was it, James.
Okay, all right. That's why we don't have the quorum. All right.
It's my fault. I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's the people that aren't on the line.
Yeah,
Their fault.
Hey, y'all remember the days of the 4-hour meetings where we're trying to do all these things? And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, how hard it was to keep up then.
I
Don't
try to
remind
forget.
me. I have
Post-traumatic stress, I think.
I have forgotten it was that hard.
I remember, just while you're doing that, I remember the third edition when I was on the TRC, having those 4-hour meetings in June and July while I'm actively managing aquatic facilities.
Yeah.
And the meetings were like my time afternoon. So like noon to 4, noon to 3, 1 to 4. That was challenging.
That's when everything happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thankfully, I had a good team that allowed me to do that.
Yeah. Kevin, you available to discuss this one?
Sure. I don't remember
Uh,
which one this is. Is this yeah, this is the pesticides. Yeah, so basically we've got some language currently in MAHC that's requiring chemicals that aren't pesticides to be registered under the EPA FIFRA Act, which isn't possible and makes no sense. I have not heard back from the TSC on this. I would be shocked that they would, if they would recommend anything other than agreeing with this. There's absolutely no reason to have non-sanitizers or non-pesticides under FIFRA.
well, it's saying and or is the language. So, I mean, is it necessary to remove this language? Because would
Well,
those,
that's a good point.
would those comply with NSF and the other standards?
Yeah, if you read it carefully, it has to be all three with the and, or it has to be FIFRA, which is not possible. So if you do the and or, it requires the FIFRA, which is not possible for anything but pesticides. So I mean, it's one of those language things.
The health officials that are on the call, is that the interpretation of and or? When I see and or, I think and or. I may
We
not be correct
try
in
as
that.
hard as we possibly can to eliminate any and or. In fact, I don't have any and ors. It's either one or the other. So you either have and for the conjunction or you have or for the conjunction, because I think it is confusing. So I would try to update the language as far as, what do you want? Do you want this, and that requires both? Or do you want this or this, which requires one or the other? I don't think you can put the and or is really difficult language to interpret.
Yeah,
So
and
I would change that if we could.
and the FIFRA that was already mentioned, that's only going to apply to the pesticides, and in this case is our disinfectant. So, you know, our acids that are used for pH adjustment, that's not necessarily a disinfectant. So that FIFRA rules don't have to apply to that. So yeah, I think the way it's written now, it is weird. But eliminating the whole thing.
Yeah, and I missed that this is eliminating the whole thing. That I would not agree with, but we need to specify, in my opinion, that all water treatment chemicals should be NSF ANSI 50 or 60, and any pesticides must also be EPA FIFRA registered.
Yeah, and I would use pesticide/disinfectant. That way people realize the pesticide we're talking about is our chlorine, because it's going to be killing microorganisms.
Except I don't think the word disinfectant is congruent with EPA FIFRA. I think they specifically use pesticide.
I just worry that someone may be confused about putting ant killer. Don't put ant killer in the pool. Oh, well, we already know that.
I think Joe, you're right. As far as working from the public health side, I think people are like, pesticides. We don't use pesticides in pools. That's weird. When in actuality, they're talking about disinfectant. I think that language needs to be clarified too.
Maybe we could say pesticide and then in parentheses,
Disinfectant, sanitizer.
yeah, disinfectant or sanitizer, just as Tom alluded to there in the chat, which
James, would
is
you-
That makes
consistent with EPA.
yeah, James, would you be up for updating the language in this?
I'm trying to find the change and okay, I can't even find my note, but yeah, I'm fine with because I think in this section that this is serving as a blanket requirement, like for the whole section for all chemicals.
Right.
And then each chemical then has its own, and that's what I was trying to look up and see. But I think that in each chemical, like some of them require FIFRA, like chlorine, and some can have it, like coagulants and flocculants and things. And
Exactly.
so I think that this is one of those redundant things as well, but I don't know that that's explained there.
Okay.
Or I don't even know if I put in the change correctly. So that's what I was trying to find. But yeah, I can revise it.
That may have been covered in the second change request. I think there were two that were related to each other.
Could have been.
Let's take a look at the other one since we're
Yeah.
bumping this down the road anyways. Well, we don't need a vote to send back to the submitter, do we?
No.
I just want to bring to everybody's attention, this is specifically 573. It's the general idea around this big chapter, water treatment, chemicals and systems. Right underneath it, the 5731, or it says primary disinfectants, where it's specifically talking about disinfectants. The first one listed is chlorine, and right away it says all chlorine products have to be EPA registered. So I think we'll be able to easily clarify the change request that we have here and just make sure that it's consistent with the other parts of section 531 that mention EPA registration. The same for bromine.
Okay. James, you get all that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so 573111 is about chlorine, and it's specifically about chlorine products must be registered when they're used as sanitizers or disinfectants.
So the next one is 573321 and removes the and/or EPA FIFRA registration for clarifiers, flocculants, defoamers. So these specifically would not be part of that FIFRA registration. So it would make more sense to take this out. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, this is actually the one that I was summarizing before. I didn't realize we were on a different one. This one is dead simple as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I'll go ahead and make that note. Is anyone have any comments against that one? Okay. You know what? I know we had some people missing and we didn't have a quorum for those, but I feel like we got quite a bit done today. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
We've got about 10 minutes left, but we are done with the CRs that we had on the docket for today. Thank you all for your help and attention to these. Any other Dewey, any announcements, anything we need to discuss before we break?
Yeah, just a quick reminder as CR facilitators, just remember to complete the evaluations on the website. And also, as a reminder, make sure that on your assigned CRs, you're going back and looking at any comments that may have been submitted since we addressed that CR.
Great points. Thank you, Dewey. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. Look out for Sarah's millions of emails. And hit us up if you need anything, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
See
Bye.
ya.
Hey, Miklos,
Yes.
just so you know, I will be on leave on the next meeting.
All righty. Well,
I think it's on the 27th.
let's make sure no one else is going to be on leave as well.
I'll be here.
I'm joking, Joe. Do you have any CRs that are supposed to be on the docket for next time?
None that I am aware of right now.
Okay. Shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully we'll have a quorum. But I'll try to remember to send
Yeah, I just want to let you know.
Cool. Appreciate it.
All right, guys,
Enjoy
have a good afternoon.
vacation. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Miklos, before you go, there's a few that have not been assigned a TSC or a facilitator. If you want to assign those, I will get those out.
I will. I apologize. I just haven't had a
No,
chance.
no worries. I'll just check it every so often and then send my
You don't
note.
have to do that. I'll email you when I do it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, you guys.
I'm gonna have so several CRs through the system now. I'll get that done this afternoon and get a list to y'all today.
Okay.
If
If
not
you get a
today, it'll be
list-
tomorrow, but today, tomorrow, I'll have it done.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
slammed. I should be able to take a look at it. I think I should be able to take a look at it on Monday or Tuesday next week.
Yeah, no rush. We still got plenty of time. You know, just as a reminder, and just so y'all know, I've asked Jill, the comms director, to send
Do we
out.
want to, sorry, do we want to stop recording? Do we need to record this part?
Where's the button to stop recording? There we go. Okay.